Thank you, District Governor-elect Emma, while we're being formal. That's lovely. I want to make a special welcome to Tony Monley, who is the Assistant Rotary Foundation Coordinator. Is that right, Tony? Got it. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, there is a Zone Foundation Coordinator and the Zone Coordinator talks to assistant coordinators, and Tony is one of those. So welcome, Tony. And I also want to welcome members of the Foundation team who are online today. Thank you for coming along. That's Peter, and let me look, Philip and Colin. I think that's all. I haven't gone on to a second page yet, so I don't think I've missed anybody. So welcome and thank you for attending. So
2, 7, 4, 8, 1, 2.
Okay, so everybody who hasn't yet done so, please put your microphones on mute, and we can unmute them later when we come to question time. Okay, so I am now going to attempt to share my screen, so please bear with me for a moment. And I want this one. Share. That. Okay, so I'm hoping everybody can see my introduction page there. Please nod.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, jolly good. All right, so this is the session for Foundation Chairs, and I just want to start by reminding you of the mission of the Rotary Foundation. Mission is to enable Rotarians to advance world understanding, goodwill and peace through the improvement of health, the support of education and the alleviation of poverty. And I'm sure every single one of us understands and supports that mission statement. First thing I want to talk about is Rotary Foundation Australia, and there's a reason I want to talk about that. First of all, it's important for you to know that all donations that are made to the Rotary Foundation by Australians occur in Australian dollars. They remain in Australia and are managed by the Rotary Foundation Australia. So when you hear people say things to you like, I don't give to the foundation because all the money just goes to America for those Americans to organise, not true. Not true at all. Now we have Rotary Foundation Australia looking after that for us. And that remains true, the fact that it's all done in Australian dollars, etc., even when donations are made through the RI website. So if you go onto the RI website and you make a one-off or a periodic donation to the foundation, it automatically comes up because the website understands you're from Australia, automatically comes up in Australian dollars, so there's no confusion over currency and currency exchange rates. Personal donations can be tax deductible. That's important to know. Okay, so your easiest foundation reference is Rotary Foundation Australia. And their website is up there, rotaryfoundationaustralia.org.au. And you would go to that website and click on the My Foundation tab, and you get all these amazing things. Every form that you are going to need as a foundation chair is right there. Recognition programs, brochures, all of that stuff listed there. It's all right there on the Rotary Foundation Australia website. So if you're a bit bamboozled, you don't know where to go or how to find the information you want, please start there, okay? So this sounds a bit confronting, but I'm going to say it. Don't call RISPO. RISPO, if you're not 100% sure, is Rotary International South Pacific and Philippines Office. It's the folk in Sydney who work for Rotary. Everything you need to know about the foundation can be found either online or by contacting a member of the foundation committee. And you can find the committee members on the district website, and you can also find us on Club Runner. And if you haven't already done so, it's probably time for you to figure out how to download the Club Runner app from the Play Store or the App Store. Then all the information you need about the district, people in the district and the clubs, all will be right there on your phone. Calling RISPO for minor inquiries is a significant waste of Rotary resources. I've actually put this slide up because I received an email saying, please stop people from calling our office for minor things. So they field phone calls all day, every day about things like, I want to present a Paul Harris Fellow. What do I do now? I've got money in my club to donate to the foundation. How do I do that? They're the main ones, and on it goes. But when they're doing that, when they're answering those calls, they're not doing their work. So it is a waste of resources. Okay, let's talk about Rotary Foundation education. Today, I am not giving you Rotary Foundation basic information and education. We're talking about the role of foundation chairs. So I'm assuming that you already know something about the foundation. However, if you feel you need a bit of a refresher, this is what you do. You sign into the RI website, you click on Knowledge and Resources in the top tabs. In the Rotary Tools list that appears, you go to the Learning Centre, scroll down to find Foundation courses and click. There are 14 different foundation courses available, and your starting point should be Foundation Basics. So if you're not sure, then please make sure that you do know enough about the foundation to talk to your members about it by doing one of the courses in the Learning Centre. One of your most important jobs is to promote the foundation to your club. And you do that by standing up at announcement time in your club meetings at least once per month to tell them something about the foundation. You probably need to organise, in fact, I think you do need to organise 2 foundation program nights per year in your club. One of them can be a presentation on basic foundation information, and the other one can be something else about the foundation, whatever works for you. And the other thing you can do to inform your club is engage your club in special days related to the foundation. And I'm going to tell you what they are right now. Right. So the first one, most important, I think, is Foundation Month. That's November. So the whole of November is your opportunity to do something special about foundation in your club. Giving Tuesday is in early December. Doesn't appear to be big in Australia yet, but certainly something worth considering and perhaps starting to promote into your club. World Understanding and Peace Day is on the 23rd of February. World Polio Day is on the 24th of October. The anniversary of the establishment of the Rotary Foundation is in June, and in 2027, which will be part of your year as Foundation Chair, the Foundation will be 110 years old. And of course, World Immunisation Week occurs in April. So if you're wondering what you would say to your club in your once a month little announcement, here's 6 ideas already, so something for you to say. Okay, let's talk about grants. Some of this is going to be going over what we did in the grant seminars, but reinforcement is never a bad thing. Foundation grants mean money for your club projects. There are 2 types of grants. There's district grants, which are small scale, short term, and global grants, which are significantly larger with sustainable and measurable outcomes in one of Rotary's areas of focus. So let's talk about your role in district grants. Prepare your club for district grants. Work with appropriate club officers to ensure the club is up to date with all its current grant reporting. Make sure the signed MOU has been submitted. You make sure that you have been added to the RI website as Foundation Chair. Once you do that, that will automatically show up in Club Runner. And make sure that the foundation and Polio Plus goals have been posted in Rotary Club Central. So you don't have to do those things, but you need to encourage people in the appropriate people in your club to do those things and make sure the club is ready. Encourage the use of district grants in your club. Discuss possible grant projects with your president-elect and your community chair. Go through the application form with the project leader to ensure it's completed correctly. Things like make sure the budget is properly balanced and make sure that you've described the project well enough. If required, seek advice before submitting the application. Much better to get it right the first time round than it is to go backwards and forwards with me or with our new grants chair, who is Jenny Moran. Rather than go back and forth, and everybody get frustrated and upset, get it right the first time is always a good idea. Okay, assist with your district grant projects. Make sure, and again, work with your project leader to make sure your intention form is in on time, and that's 15th of June. Complete and submit the application form after we tell you that grants have opened. We don't open grants until the money has actually arrived in our bank account. Monitor the project progress. Encourage final report preparation. I put this one in a lot of clubs, they finish their project early in the year. They get it going and get it done and then wait until right at the end of the year to put in a report. Much better for you, much better for me, much better for everybody if the final report comes in very soon after the project is finished. And check the final report for submission before submission. Make sure things like, and the main thing is that the budget actually balances, so the money in equals the money out, and that all the paperwork in terms of what has been expended is included. Also, make sure there is a story about your project on the club website. So we'll come to that's it. Assist with promotion. Remind the project leader of the need to add a sign or a plaque. This is often forgotten. People who run the projects get so enthusiastic about the actual project that they forget the need to promote the fact that Rotary was involved in doing whatever it is was done. Ensure a story appears on your club website. This is mandatory, okay? When I get a final report, apart from checking the report and the financials, I go into the club website to have a look for the story. If it's not there, I will be phoning the project lead and saying, please put a story up on the website. So if you remind them, that will make life much easier for everybody. Encourage significant publicity of the project if it can possibly happen. And yes, and make sure as many people as possible know about this wonderful project that your club has just completed with the assistance of the foundation. Let's talk about education grants. Education grants are happening again in the coming year. Remind your club youth chair of the availability of education grants and encourage them to apply for one. The grant is $500 matched by your club, so that makes $1,000 to go to your local secondary school. Put your application in as soon as possible after grants open. And this is important. Encourage the youth chair and discuss with the youth chair the idea of using the grant to build the relationship with the secondary school. It's all very nice to present your secondary school with $1,000 year after year after year, but we would like schools to become more engaged with Rotary projects like Moona and Ripen and of course Interact. So that's what those grants are for. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about global grants now. Why would your club want to become involved in a global grant? Well, because it builds club enthusiasm. It's got a big feel-good factor in your club when you complete a successful global grant. You can see real impact from the work that you do, and it helps to internationalize your club, especially, obviously, if the grant is overseas. But even if it's not, if you do a global grant in Australia, you still need an international partner. So it's really well worthwhile looking at global grants. Minimum requirement for a global grant is you've got to have a project, obviously. You've got to have a project partner in another country. And you need about $10,000 to start with, US $10,000. That can come from your club, from a combination of clubs, from private donors, from anywhere really, but you need to have at least 10,000 US dollars. Once you will have these three things, it's important to contact the Global Grants Coordinator, Charlie Spears, to make sure that the DDF that you're going to need, DDF is District Designated Funds, that you're going to need for your project will be available. So if you have 10,000 US dollars and you get 10,000 DDF, this is all round figures. It's not quite exactly this, but just to keep it simple, 10,000 DDF, and the DDF is then matched by the foundation. So your 10,000 US dollars becomes a 30,000 US dollar global grant project. 30,000 US dollars is the minimum size. If you're planning to do a global grant, seek help and advice. Don't shut yourself in your room with your computer and start putting up a global grant proposal. It's really important to find some help. And Charlie Spears obviously is a person to help. Other clubs that have carried out similar projects, other clubs that have carried out projects in the same country, and other clubs that have a record of global grant success. And this is in great big letters because it's absolutely true. Your Rotarian colleagues want to help you to do a successful global grant. So, and if you're not sure that you want to carry out a whole big global grant on your own to begin with, we have a list of projects that are currently under development, and I'm sure those clubs that are putting those projects together would be happy to have another club as a partner, an active partner in carrying out those projects. So if you want to just dip your toe in the water, again, contact Charlie Spears. I'm sure he would help to put you in touch with a club that's developing a global grant right now. One more type of grant that I want to talk about is disaster response grants. Disaster response grants are up to 25,000 US dollars. They're for the immediate response to a disaster. So if you have a severe storm, a flood, a fire, a drought, anything like that happening in your part of the district, then we can help you with a disaster response grant application. The application is much easier than a global grant, a very quick admin response again compared to a global grant. However, there is a limited pool of money, so you can only have a disaster response grant if there is money in the pool. So 9820 used a disaster response grant in response to the Black Summer bushfires of 2020. And District 9815 has just recently had a disaster response fund to respond to drought in the far east of our district. Okay, now onto the other side. You know, foundation can be a pretty complicated place, but I always think of it, you can think of it in pretty basic and easy terms. One is money out, that's what we've just talked about. And the other one is money in. It's a bit like a bank. You've got to put some in order to get some out. Here we go. All right. Why clubs give to the foundation? So this is about club giving. Well, less money in equals less money out. So when clubs want to go for district grants, when they're looking for global grants, they get a bit disappointed when the barrel is empty. The barrel empties less quickly if we put more money in. So foundation is a major part of Rotary's success, and we're talking about Rotary as a whole here, our whole big organisation, international organisation. The funding that comes from the foundation is what drives many, in fact, a huge number, a huge percentage of all the projects that are carried out by Rotary clubs, Rotary districts, and so on. Giving to the foundation is also one of the fundamental reasons that your club exists. Now, if that's not quite computing in your head, have a look at this. This is what appears in your club constitution. And here it is. The purposes of this club are, and you can read all that, but I draw your attention to point D, support the Rotary Foundation. So one of the fundamental reasons your club exists. I like to point out here that there's nowhere on this list that says we raise money and give it away to other organisations, but that's just that's my little thing about Rotary and the way clubs often operate. Okay, what should your giving goals be? As a guideline, your annual fund giving probably should look like $100 per member. And your Polio Plus giving should look like about $1,500 to Polio Plus. I can hear some of you, I can feel some of you thinking, oh my goodness, no way, we can't possibly do that. We don't have that kind of money. But even if you don't have that kind of money, every club should be giving something to each fund every year. So have a think about that and have a look at your income. If your club's fundraisers are, say, two sausage sizzles a year, you still should be thinking about a percentage of that money going to the foundation. Okay, personal foundation giving. Let's have a look at that. The first thing I'd like to say to you as a foundation chair in your club is lead by example. Be a regular foundation donor, no matter how small your regular donation may be. This is really, really important. You cannot ask people to do something you are unwilling to do yourself. Encourage other board members to also set an example of giving. Your president and your president-elect are prime targets for encouragement for giving to the foundation. But while we're talking about encouraging personal donations, you need to have the know-how. So you need to be familiar with all the giving avenues, how money goes from people's accounts or club accounts into the foundation, how to make that happen. You also need to be prepared to help people if they don't quite understand or aren't familiar with the technology or whatever it may be. You need to help them to do so. And you need to remember the Rotary Foundation Australia website and all its resources. Now, when I say be prepared to help people and offer to do so, Rotarians have been around for a while will remember Centurions and Centurion giving, and possibly remember a little money box that was handed out for people to put $2 coins in. And when they got to $52 coins, they would hand in the money box and the money would go to the foundation. Well, in my own club, there are folk who still like to collect $2 coins. And as I'm the club foundation chair, they hand it to me. And it's my job to make sure that $100 gets into the foundation, credited to them as individuals. Now, I'm inclined to think that's a little bit above and beyond, but I'd like to think that foundation chairs are prepared to go that far to help to make sure that donations go into the foundation. Final thing I've got to say about personal giving is softly, softly. You can't demand people give money to the foundation. So be sensitive to the giving sentiment of individuals. Some people never give any money to any charity at any time whatsoever. And if that's how they feel about it, you aren't going to change their minds. So that's really important to know. The other issue here is that many Rotarians think they work in the club in sausage sizzles and other fundraisers, and then the club gives money to the foundation, so that's their contribution. Again, if they feel strongly that way, you probably aren't going to change their minds. Make it as easy as possible for your members to give. Commented on that before. emphasize the Rotary Foundation Australia, make sure people know that the money is managed in Australia. Remind people that their donations can be tax deductible, and use humour and a smile. Okay, that's it from me. I galloped through all that pretty quickly. So now it's up to you to ask questions and start the chat. I now have 3 pages of participants, 55 people on board. So welcome to those I didn't get to welcome right at the very beginning, and thank you for spending your time with us this morning. If you wish to ask a question, please use the reaction and the hand up at the bottom of your screen because I can't see all 3 screens at once. So please do that. Does anybody have a question or a comment or something that you think I haven't covered this morning that you would like to talk about? Okay, good. Catherine's got her hands up. Please, Catherine, I can't see you, but please ask your question.
Thanks, Alma. Okay, so for a global grant, does the required 10,000 US include funds coming from the International Partnering Club, or do they have to contribute as 10 grand as well? For example, if you partnered with a club in, I don't know, the UK to do a project in Timor-Leste, is it 10,000 in total?
Yes, it's 10,000 in total is what you have to raise. Your international partner, I'm pretty sure it's your international host club, has to put in something, but not terribly much. So if you're doing a project in a developing country where your money is pretty tight and scarce, then your host club needs to put in something, but it doesn't have to be very much. Your partner clubs, so if you're working with a club in, say, in the UK or the US or whatever, they don't have to put in $10,000. You need to have 10,000 US dollars altogether.
Thank you.
That's a minimum. That's the minimum. Okay. If you're going to do a project worth $120,000, you're obviously going to need more than 10 grand. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Andrew.
Just to point out that I'm not the foundation chair, but I'm here to learn. But I was curious, has there in fact been a qualification seminar? If so, when? And if we have missed out, how do we redress that situation?
Okay, so yes, the grant seminars were held on Tuesday and Thursday this week with great attendance, so that was good. If your club didn't attend the grant seminar, the only other thing you can do is you have to go on to the RI website. You've got to do the grant seminar course on the RI website, and then send the certificate to say that you completed that course.
Thank you.
Attending the grant seminar is a far less painful way of doing the qualification, because we got through them in 3/4 of an hour on Tuesday and Thursday, and your online course is going to take you probably 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah. Okay, I'll need to check with the President and Secretary, Foundation Chair, to make sure that somebody has attended.
Well, yes, I've got the list of who attended, so I know if you want to send me an email or phone me later, I can have a look, or you can talk to people in your club.
Thank you.
Alan, got your hand up.
Hello. If you're doing a global grant for a local project in Australia, what's the point of having an international partner?
I don't know. They're the rules, Alan. That's the rule. You've got to have an international partner, and your international partner has to put something in. I think that's what helps to make it global, Alan, rather than a local grant. But yes, you still need to have an international partner, even if it's a local project.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Now, Wilma, you've got your hand up. I see, physically got your hand up. Please ask us your question. And we can't hear you right now.
My name doesn't appear on the website as being the Club Foundation Chair, Alma. It should, because I was elected there. I'll have to get Ron Bridges to correct that.
Yep. Your club secretary will look after that for you, Wilma, or should.
Yeah, he's overlooked that, so I'll have to see to it because I'm missing out on certain information, I think.
Just so I can add to that, I've already asked Ron to do that for you, Wilma.
All right, thank you, Barry. I think we're covered, Alma, because Barry attended anyway,
Right.
and I belong to the same club.
Yep.
So that'll be okay. Thank you. I wanted to talk to you about the dolls to raise money for the foundation. I've sent you an email, but I'll send you another one.
Oh, okay. Did I miss that email? How long ago, Wilma?
Only recently, Alma.
I'll have a good look. I haven't. I've been a bit remiss with my emails in recent weeks for various reasons, but I'll have a look at my emails today.
I didn't put the reason for my wishing to speak to you, but it's only about the dolls to raise money.
Okay. All right. I will have a look. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Anybody else? I'm just going to flip through the screens and see if anybody's waving
I think
at me.
Ian Armstrong.
Ian Armstrong. Hello, Ian. Welcome.
Hi, Alma. You haven't mentioned anything about the Paul Harris Society, and I wonder whether you should.
Sorry, say again.
You haven't mentioned anything about the Paul Harris Society.
No.
I think you should.
I mentioned personal giving, and I mentioned that you should all be doing a bit of research to find about all the avenues of giving to the foundation. So that's up to you. So one of the things that I always talk about when I come to your club to do a foundation presentation is Paul Harris Society. For people who don't know, Paul Harris Society is a pledge to donate $1,000 to the foundation per year. And when I say that, a lot of people look a bit shocked and surprised and say, "Oh, Alma, that's a lot of money." But there are a number of people in our district who are members of the Paul Harris Society, and it's really not as hard as you think. Because if you go into the RI website and you pledge to donate $150 a month, that will more than cover $1,000 a year, no matter what the exchange rate may be. So $150 a month, again, you might think that's a lot of money, but this is what I say to people. Just imagine if you put every single dollar that you spend on a credit card. How much a month would that be? And I mean everything. Every single thing that you spend money on in a year went on a credit card. How much a month would that be? This day and age, probably $5 or $6, maybe $8, maybe more $1,000 a month. And when you think about that, $150 a month is really not a lot of money. So if you want to be a member of the Paul Harris Society, you can contact our current Paul Harris Society chair is Greg King, or you can talk to me, and we would love to help you to become a member of the Paul Harris Society. Does that cover it, Ian? Happy? Yeah? Great. All right. Tony has got his hand up. Hello, Tony.
Thanks, Alma. 2027 is the 25th anniversary of the Rotary Peace Centres. And there is, in fact, a celebration up in Brisbane, I think, in March 2027. But clubs might want to consider doing something peace-themed. It can be a low-cost initiative that can have a big impact, foundation-related. You can think about running some sort of peace program with local schools or councils, or installing a peace pole in a local park. Anything to highlight Rotary's great work in peace.
Great. Thank you, Tony. And I will say, Rotary Club of Rosebud Rye has just finished a fantastic peace project in their local primary school. They funded through a district grant a new garden development in the school, involved students and parents, and included 2 peace poles in the garden. And as a result of that project, the school is going to run a competition every year for a piece of student work on the theme of peace, and the Rotary Club is going to donate prizes every year for the student winners of that competition. So what a fabulous project that is. A new garden, whole school involvement in the project, peace poles involved, and an annual reminder of the peace project through a competition. And of course, peace is everywhere. It's not just big international things and stopping wars. In this particular primary school, they're using it to focus on kindness and being kind to each other. So I just think that's a fabulous project and something worth exploring. I'm sure the people at Rosebud Rye would be delighted to talk to your club or you about that particular project. Marie McPherson, hello, welcome.
Thank you, Alma. I want to go backwards a bit to the Paul Harris Society. As the incoming foundation chair, if I want to encourage people to be members, what can I tell them is the benefit to them? So what happens when you become a member of the Paul Harris Society?
Well, you feel fabulous about giving money to the foundation to begin with. Okay. And you get a badge and, all of that kind of stuff. What I would like to do, Marie, we get some regular information that comes to us as members of the Paul Harris Society, and I'm happy to send that to you or to send it around to all the foundation chairs if you're interested in that information.
I am a society member and I get an email maybe 3 times a year perhaps. But yeah, so I'm curious about what else.
Yes,
it
sure.
just seems like nothing much happens for members of that society.
The foundation writes to you 3 times a year to say thank you. You also get a hard copy of the annual report, so that's another little benefit. You didn't get one? No? Okay. Let me get together. I've got a sheet of benefits of why you would want to join the Paul Harris Society. So I'm happy to send that out. We can get it out to all foundation chairs. Yep. Okay, I'll do that. Ian's nodding, so that's all good. Yep. Okay. Anybody else? Neil is waving at me.
If I do that bloody course online, does it only last for a year or does it last forever?
Yes. No, 1 year. You've
God,
got to
what a
go
waste
to
of
the
time.
foundation. Someone from your club must go to the grants seminar every year to qualify for a district grant. Okay, and look, I'm not sure. Information about the seminars was circulated, I know, by the district secretary to all clubs. When we send out information about the foundation, I ask for it to go to foundation chairs. But to make sure clubs that don't have a foundation chair also know, we send it to secretaries and presidents, and we also send it to Rotary community leaders. So everybody gets a fair go. And if your secretary and your president don't share information, or you don't have a foundation chair in your club, but I know that's all of you do, so that's why you're here. There's only so much, so much communication we can do. Okay, here we go. Peter is
that was yeah.
Sure. That was directed to Marie. Peter sitting down in the bottom corner down there, or on my screen is in the bottom corner. Peter Brock from the Rotary Club of Emerald. Peter is our major donors and bequest society person, so he's happy to help with anything to do with major donation. Major donor is somebody who has given $10,000 or more to the foundation over their lifetime. So it doesn't have to be in one lot. And of course, Bequest Society is people who leave money in their will to the foundation, and it's really a worthwhile thing to think about. It's giving money, leaving money in your will to the Rotary Foundation.